Join our incredible moms who have mastered the art of balancing motherhood in today's episode of We Time Convo.
My name is Debbie.
This is Liza.
Moms sharing inspiring stories, practical tips, and a few hilarious anecdotes. And it all begins now.
So Liza, I don't know if you know, but Vanessa started driving.
Yeah, I saw that on Instagram. And it's funny because this summer I'm showing Ava how to drive and it's very scary.
It is very scary. I have to say everything is good.
Yeah.
Up until she gets behind the wheel. And then when she starts actually doing the behind the wheel.
Then your butt starts clenching.
Yes. Pretty much. Yeah. And I literally have like this anxiety attack that I try to manage when I'm sitting with her.
Yeah.
Because the idea of my daughter behind the wheel in a car that is just, you know, potentially a death machine is really scary. Yeah. But here's the thing. How is she going to learn?
Right.
Right. So, you know, while I struggle with not wanting to do it and knowing that she needs to know how to do it.
Right.
So that's a little bit of a balancing act. But just walking through, I don't know if you started looking into how to get Ava.
So that was a question I wanted to ask you because it was many, many years ago when I started driving, it's not the same. So I think when I started driving, it's like they give you a pamphlet, you study this, then you go to the DMV and take the test. So now I believe it's different. I went online to check and I'm like, what is it? Can you tell me in California how to get a minor to start driving?
Yes. And I sympathize with you because when Vanessa needed to start, I actually went online trying to figure it out as well. And it is super confusing. So I'm more than happy to share what I have learned.
Yes, please.
So first step is they need to sign on for online driving education class. And I did it through Groupon, which we're not sponsored by.
Once again, we're not affiliated, but if you would like to sponsor us, please reach out.
So I went on Groupon. I actually signed her up for a Groupon on a driver's ed online class that she actually took. Make sure that the online class is certified and can provide that certification, because you will need that certification in order to have her then apply for a permit to DMV. And so when you apply for the permit at DMV, she'll schedule her permit test. You'll go in and you have two options to either do an online permit test or the paper pen permit test. Yeah. There's pros and cons to both. Vanessa chose to do the online one at DMV and she passed. And so
the first time?
Yes,
wow,
she did.
Good job, Vanessa.
Yes, and she was thrilled about that too. So that actually moved her on to the next step, which is signing her up for a behind the wheel driver's class.
Yeah. Okay, so what are the cons though to taking the online test at the DMV or the paper test for the permit?
Good question.
Yeah.
So the online at the DMV is the benefit is once she's finished, the results come in right away. Right. So you don't have to wait. Yeah. And so that's probably the biggest benefit.
Yeah.
The downside to it is as she gets something wrong, it notifies her that she got something wrong. So as you can imagine, as you get 1, 2, and it starts increasing, it starts probably psychologically playing with your mind.
The anxiety comes up, right?
Exactly.
It's like, no, that's not right. No,
exactly.
that's not.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And she doesn't have the ability to actually go back to questions that she's answered. So those are the considerations of the online one. But in regards to the paper pen one, obviously this doesn't give you the beeping noise when you get something wrong. You can go back to questions that you have answered, but the downside is it may take some time for them to actually go through that paper test. So you might have to wait a little longer to see your results. So I actually let Vanessa decide which one she wanted to do, and she wanted to do online. She felt pretty confident considering that, she had taken the online driver's ed class, which provided her some practice test. So she felt really confident. But I can tell you, she probably she did get those beeps, and she did let me know that it did kind of mess with her mind. But thankfully she did not fail the test. She was able to pass it the first time.
Go Vanessa.
Yeah. So again, we ended up, I ended up signing her for a behind the wheel class.
Is that mandatory?
It is mandatory.
Okay.
It is mandatory for them to take 6 hours of behind the wheel training. And then after that, I believe there is a 40+ hour requirement of her driving with someone.
So do you have to track those hours?
No, I don't think you need to track it, but I can definitely see why she needs those hours. As a parent, want her to get those hours. I would not feel comfortable putting my daughter out there for a driving test without having those adequate hours, just learning how to drive. She probably will need more than 40 hours, to be honest with you, for me to feel comfortable. The other thing too is there's a requirement that from the time she gets issued her permit to the time she actually takes her driving test at the DMV is about 6 months. So she has to wait 6 months before she actually even does a test for her driving.
For the test.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we have a couple months to go.
Yeah.
She's actually on her third training class, and they're for 2 hours, which another thing to consider as well is this is not cheap.
No.
The while the online driver's ed was reasonable, I think for the Groupon it was reasonable. The actual behind the wheel 6 hour training, it's pricey. We looked around, and it's, I would say, about $500, $600 is the price range for them to take this. So it's an investment.
Yeah.
You can obviously bypass all of this once they hit 18.
Yeah.
That's another option, which I've actually noticed that a lot of, I don't know, Liza, if you remember when you started learning how to drive, but when I was at an age where I could drive, I was gung ho. I wanted to drive. Yeah. I wanted to be able to take myself wherever I wanted to go. But I realized this generation in particular don't really have that urgency.
No, my 23-year-old doesn't drive. She takes Uber everywhere. I'm like, girl, why don't you want to drive? She's like, I don't want to drive. I was the same as you. Right when I turned 15 and a half, I'm like, I'm driving. I paid for my own driving lessons, which were, I think at the time, $300. They weren't that much, but I paid for it myself because I wanted to drive.
Yes.
I was driving since I was 16.
I actually do know, like I said, I know a couple of people who, number one, didn't get their driver's license until after 18. And then I do know some are actually similar to your oldest.
Yeah.
They don't want to drive at all.
Yeah.
And they do the Uber and Lyft, which is not sponsored by us, by the way. But they do that. I don't know if it's out of convenience and
it could be fair.
Yeah.
It could be fair because, I admit I'm a horrible driver. I've been into quite a few accidents. Thank God I'm alive.
Oh my God.
And I think it just scared my kids. They're like, oh, hell no. I mean, I hit curbs. I hit everything. My car is very dinged up, but it's scary. It is really scary.
It is scary.
And insurance is expensive for a minor.
That is, good, very good point. Yeah. Very good point. But yeah, just going back to the behind the wheel training, it's not cheap.
No.
It's not cheap. So definitely something to consider.
Yeah.
Like I said, you can bypass all that when they hit 18.
Yeah.
So
that's all good to know because it's all very new.
Yes. So that was a little bit of tidbit. Hopefully that was helpful for you. Summarize, online education, schedule a permit at DMV. Then you do your behind the wheel driving, and then you got to kind of wait 6 months before they can actually take that driver's test.
Vanessa can hit the road.
I know it's a little scary.
Yeah.
But like I said, it's a necessary evil. Yeah. I'm tired of being her driver, her chauffeur.
Yeah. Tell me about it.
So, and in general, it'll take her, like, what she really needs to do is within a 3-mile radius of where we live anyway. So, I mean, it works.
Well, and the great thing about cars now, though, is they have cameras everywhere. Like they have backup cameras. I mean, some of these cars even park themselves. They can parallel park themselves. We had them look over our shoulder. Like, I've turned my head. So, I mean, it makes it so easy for drivers now to, get into, like, to ding a car or anything like that. So I think that's the good thing about this day and age is cars are so cool now.
What about public transportation?
Public transportation. It's not
we used to remember back in the days, we used to take the bus everywhere.
Well, see,
to the mall, right? Do you remember back in the days where we used to take the bus all everywhere?
So for me, I did take the bus, but like I said, I learned to drive as soon as I can. So as soon as I could learn how to drive, I mean, that's what I did.
I think it's scary though now, like nowadays for teenagers, especially girls, to just be out by themselves taking public transportation. It's not like, I'm assuming like in Japan or like Asia, like these kids go when they're 8, right? Because it's safe. But for me, I feel like maybe I watch too many crime shows, listen to many crime podcasts, but I'm like, hell no. Like you're not.
Well, I don't think we have really great public transportation system here at all. I mean, once I learned how to drive, I pretty much drove, and I didn't start taking public transportation again until I was working in San Francisco. Yeah. So living in San Jose, working in San Francisco at that time, it could literally take me 2 hours to get to work.
So it doubles up your time.
Yeah. So I actually had to like look into public transportation, which was either the Caltrain or BART, which we're not sponsoring, which isn't sponsored by us.
Just to put it out there, we're not sponsored by anybody yet at this point. So if you're not Uber, Lyft, Groupon, anything else, just reach out to us, sponsor us.
But that's when I started, and that was in my mid 30s. So and that was like scary. Yeah. But I think in general, our public transportation infrastructure is not that great. No, it's not. Compared to other places. Like obviously, if you've been to New York, they have the subway station. Yeah. Everybody takes that. Like I had mentioned, I recently came back from Asia, and Asia, it's very common to take public transportation. And while they still obviously have traffic, they have a better system, I think.
Yeah. Oh, and then there's Uber and Lyft,
which is it's pretty convenient, but can get pricey again. Yeah. So I think we're in a day and age where we pay for convenience, definitely.
Yeah, absolutely.
So like I said, I'm still kind of in a space where it's a little scary, but it's a necessary evil. I wish you the best with Ava.
Yes, I'm gonna need all the good vibes. Yeah, good juju. Please send them my way. But yeah, I mean, it's a rite of passage to being a grown person, and she's gonna go to college and all that. So they do need to learn how to drive. And like I said, I'm sick and tired of being a free Uber to my kids. Planning my day around what they're doing right? And waiting up to pick them up. So it's great. I'm hoping, and thank you, Debbie, for, putting that all out there for me and saving me some time trying to figure out how it's done. But yeah, it's great. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem at all. Anything I learn, I'm more than happy to share. We're all in this together.
Yeah. And good luck to Vanessa.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you.